Okay, so this one is about me. So we have people that kind of know us but don't know us. They don't know our history. I'm not going to get into all of our history, but people ask, what do we do? What do we do with our clients? And how do we categorize ourselves? Well, we've done things in nutrition. We've done things in massage therapy. We've taught at colleges, at universities. We have worked with all different levels of professional, all the way down to amateur athletes, and in all sorts of different sports. We've worked on the corporate wellness side, where we've done, executive consulting and stuff like that. So there's a ton of different things and a wide range of stuff that we've done. We've consulted on spas and health clubs, and we've helped others create and design athletic development programs within schools and institutions and travel teams and stuff like that. Our style, our approach to stuff is what we call RIPT, Russian Integrated Performance Training, and that's because the majority of the stuff that at least most of our overall development stuff is connected back to a lot of the former USSR and like European model for performance development. So that's too deep to get into really in a short period of time, but basically it's all based on science. So it's not necessarily like, oh, let me try this and see how it works. It's like, we know that this protocol works for this, so as long as we identify what we're trying to do and at what stage of the development it is, this is typically the best methodology or protocol or procedure to go or follow through on if we're trying to get to this level. So, and paying attention to the biofeedback that you get every day is really a part of the way of developing. Sitting down and getting clear on your goals and doing research and seeing the way that you compete in whatever you're competing in. So that could be a sport, that could be a performing art, that could be business, that could be a bunch of different things. So there's a lot of different things to look at. You need to look at that person's overall environment and everything that's in their life cycle that's going to affect them. So that's what we do. One of the coaches that I like to listen to is Michael Neal. He has a podcast called Creating the Impossible, and he kind of talks about Bruce Lee's formless form in there. They always ask him, like, well, what technique could I use for this? What strategy should I use for this? And he's like, well, you got to take a look at really what you're trying to do, get clear on that, and then we'll take some next actions, but it's going to be specific to what you have going on. There's not like a cookie cutter approach to like, this is the one size fits all answer. And so with that being said, a lot of people don't like that, because it's not like I can just say, well, we're going to do this. So when people come in, we look at them uniquely and see what's specifically going on with them in order to give them feedback on what they should be doing and to what level they want us to be involved. Are we having daily interaction? Is it weekly interaction? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? Is it semi-annually? Is it annually? So it's different for different people, and the way that we design things is different for different people. We have our framework, we have our structure, but again, it's unique to what that person has going on. Somebody has a different health history than another person. They have different a different biofeedback loop, so to speak. They have different genetics than another person. So they're from a different area of the country. They've developed differently. So they're going to be different. You should treat them differently. So that's the way we do things. A lot of people say we've been really lucky. Well, the funny thing is we've been in the field for over 2.5 decades now. And so it takes a long time to get this lucky. And yeah, we are lucky. We do have a lot of student athletes that are lucky. A lot of our clients are lucky, especially if they're listening with us and they're giving us feedback that's consistent and they're doing what we're asking them to do. The person who complains and doesn't do what we ask them to do and doesn't give us, right time feedback is not really going to see great progress, because they're not using the full system the way that it should be used. I always tell people, hey, listen, if you're going to look to work with somebody, especially, let's just talk about in the world of student athletics. If you're going to look for somebody to work with your student athlete, then you want to look at them as a coach. And so, like, for instance, I'll give you an example. As a coach, we've had, several, like, let's say you're looking for your kid to get to the level where if they want to, they can play Division I athletics in whatever sport it is. And they have the capacity to do that. Now they just need to get themselves basically within shooting distance to do that. So you've got to look at them as somebody as a potential coach. Like, look at them as a coach. Who have they coached? Like, that's why we have the proof up on the wall. It's inspiring, and it's also like, kind of like social proof, so to speak. Like, well, without going and asking people for testimonials, which the NCAA doesn't really allow you to do until the person's graduated, and that point that they've kind of moved on anyway, so it's not as relevant as it was when that person first made it, so it's not really necessarily as useful. But coaching, like for instance, we've had this last week, it's been nice to see our Division I baseball players, Division II, Division III baseball players having so much success. Well, those people have their own story. They came from a very, very small town, most of them, and they believed in themselves, and their actions reflected that, and they got to that level, and that's very inspiring. And that's consistent. We have success with them. It's relevant because it's what you're asking about, and it's recent. And that's been what's happened for the last over 2 decades. So that's coaching. Now we talk about as an athlete. I was a former Division I athlete, so I know what that looks like. Now that was, again, over 2 decades ago. So that is relevant. It's right on point, but it's not recent, but that is that category. And I still am an athlete. Like, I still compete at things. I still train. I still do all the stuff that I tell people to do. So it's proof by showing, not telling necessarily. And like this last month, I told people that I was going to lose 30 pounds in 30 days and 30 inches, and I did that. I got a coach to help me do that. That's why I hired my wife as a coach and said, hey, will you coach me? And I did that because I knew I could. And I dropped 30 pounds before that because I no longer needed the weight that I had for what I was doing. So I took the easy weight off first myself, and then I knew when it got to critical time, I needed help, professional help. I'm sure some will agree with that. And so Melissa helped me out. But again, like showing that I could do what I'm asking our people to do, which is like look the part, play the part, be the part. The next part is parenting. So if you're looking for somebody who also happens to be, like how could you be fully qualified to help somebody get to the highest level? Well, are you a parent? Because a parent creates an incredible perspective. So as a parent, I have my 2 oldest kids who are of age to be either in college or on their way to college. One is at the university. Well, I won't say where they are or who they are or what they're doing, but we'll just say one is a wrestler at a Division I college, and the other one is a beach volleyball player at a Division I college. She will be next year. So, but again, like, are you? And if they chose not to be, that's fine too. It's choose what you want from where you want at the level you want. Give yourself that best opportunity. That's what you're looking for. If something at a different level has what you're looking for and it's the best opportunity for you, that's fine. That's the point though. It just like our 2 oldest kids, that's their situation. They're Division I student athletes at great institutions, and that was the point. Like, give them that opportunity that if they want to, they can. And they did, so they are. So again, proof by showing, not telling. Proof by showing. Like, I'm showing you this is what, is there anybody else that's more qualified to actually work with a student athlete? There's probably not many. I don't know there's many that's even close to on our level, and that's not ego speaking, that's just like facts, looking at the showing of what's going on. So the next thing, teaching and training. Okay, we've had several different students that were told, hey, listen, you're just not a good student, and like, shoot lower, don't aim for the Ivy League. And one of which, I think a lot of people are like, oh, he's never going to do it, blah, blah, blah. And he shot for a very, very good school, and he got in. And people are like, oh, he's lucky. Okay. Well, he's lucky. He's good enough to be lucky. Let's put it that way. And yes, he is fortunate to be in that situation. Anybody is who gets in. So I guess they're all lucky. We're all lucky, unless you're not. If you're not lucky, like I'm sorry for you, because you're playing the victim role and you're doing it all too well. So I guess you'll just stay there until that's so uncomfortable that you want to get lucky, and then you can get lucky and maybe go to an Ivy League school too. So then one of our other students is like, I want to go to one of the top 2 schools in the world. And people are like, oh, nobody's ever done that before. It's not going to happen. And they did that. So that's the point, is like the proof is in what you do. Like, I wish you luck being a verb. So like luck for you. Get out there and get after your luck. I went over my 10 minutes here, so I'm going to just stop this before we get to 11. But the point is, like, when you're out there and you're looking for someone to hire to work with you or to work with your student athletes, make sure that they're showing, their success. It needs to be relevant, it needs to be recent, and think about it in the 4 different areas that I just talked about: coaching, then also as a student athlete themselves, as a parent if it's applicable, and if it's not applicable, are they mentoring people? And then as a teacher and as a trainer. And on the mentoring side, like, that could mean like volunteering. So what are they doing when they're not getting paid for it, so to speak? Because you're definitely not getting paid for parenting, which is why Melissa and I have done just thousands and thousands of hours of volunteering, because we want to help and we're looking to give back. So when you're looking out there for the right people to work with you, do the homework, because it's a big decision and the impact is going to be felt for years and years and years after. Who you invite into your kid's life is very, very important to do research on before you just jump in.